Katt Williams just set the entire internet on fire, guys. This man went into the Club Shay Shay podcast, which is a very, very suspect name, by the way.
I don't know what he was thinking.
You are too big and too swole as a black man to be walking around talking about some Club Shay Shay. I'm sorry. Like, whatever you were thinking when you did that is just like, when I hear that name, all I think about is like Shanae and all of these like female dressed like characters from like male comedians, which is funny that Katt Williams kind of addressed this in this little podcast here. But this podcast is going crazy. This man legitimately walked in there and basically full loaded magazine unloaded the clip on Kevin Hart, Diddy, fucking Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Ricky Smiley, other people like that I can't even remember right now, but this shit was crazy. Today we're going to be reacting to a couple of clips from that podcast, but before we do that, you guys already know what I'm about to ask you guys to do. Hit that like and subscribe button for more content, guys. I need y'all to do me that solid. I'm trying to make sure as many people find this channel as possible. The only way I'm going to do that is with you guys' help. Welcome to Cancel Thoughts, guys. I'm your host, Better Days here. I'm not going to waste your time a little bit too much. We're going to get right into this video.
All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
We are here for it. Fuck do you mean? We are trying to hear it, man.
The truth is the light.
I need to have another one of these.
Amen, amen.
Gee. I kind of get one here.
Right.
Shannon doesn't even know where to go with this man right now. It's so crazy. Yo, in 3 or 4 days, this 3-hour-long podcast has straight up gotten over 30 million views. I don't know about you guys. Most people do not have the attention span to sit for 3 hours and watch an entire podcast. This is how powerful this podcast was, yo. I sat down and watched it myself, and I couldn't take my eyes off it, yo.
After that, I don't really kind of know where to go. Let me, one more time.
Right.
We good now?
Because the people want to know, well, why would he get blackballed?
Yeah,
oh, because,
I was gonna ask you that.
Because in 30 years, I've done nothing but collect information, knowledge, and your secrets. So if you and a man was in a corner doing something you wasn't supposed to be doing,
you will tell it.
No, somebody come to tell me.
First off, Kat, all of those three things are essentially the same thing. So I'm not going to hate a little bit too much there. But the prevailing thing about some of the reactions that I've seen over the past like couple of days or whatever is that some people are like really, really surprised by when they hear people like Steve Harvey and people like Cedric the Entertainer steal jokes and stuff like that. But it's like,
why is that so surprising?
You don't know any of these people. People need to understand that we have a problem in America specifically in which that we kind of pedestalize these celebrities and we think they're these wonderful people because of whatever public persona that they portray on the internet or whatever. And it's just like, it's not true. The fact of the matter is you don't know shit about any of these people. You don't know anything about them. They could be the worst motherfuckers in the world and they could present a good front to you that's just like, oh, I'm this perfect person. Don't believe that nonsense. Do you know how easy it is to put on a lie and just like publicly face people and just tell them complete nonsense that you don't believe? Stop this dumb shit, okay?
I gather that. I value that. I'll pay for that. Come, tell me. I know so many things I shouldn't know, and they all know it. They all know it. Why? Because you don't make me the villain. Not the guy that raises black children and ain't never done a hard drug in his life and don't have no stories of doing nobody dirty. And they'll just go out and they'll lie. The industry doesn't mess with Katt because he didn't show up for the studio. No studios have ever said that. Look at my IMDb. It will show you that no studio has ever lost money with me on the script. How? That's why I'm saying, that's why I can't let Ricky Smiley say he was supposed to play Money Mike. Because I wrote the words for Money Mike. I designed the hair for Money Mike. I collaborated with the wardrobe department and made outfits to make sure that no one in America would be wearing what Money Mike was wearing. I told him to go get the Prowler. I then told him to paint it purple. I told him don't have an actor playing a pimp. We could get an actual pimp, Archbishop Magic Don Juan to play. I did far too much work for somebody to come years later and try to tag along just for their own self-aggrandizement.
Why didn't Cube set the record straight? Terry Crews could have set the record straight. Mike Epps could have set the record straight.
FYI, I think in the past day or so, Ice Cube has come out and said a lot of what Katt Williams is saying in this video is true. Some of it is a little bit murky in what he said in that video, but he essentially said that Katt Williams was kind of brought in to play the role, and what's his name, Ricky Smiley was also meant to play the role. But what they saw was that when Ricky Smiley auditioned for the role and Katt Williams auditioned for the role, Katt Williams was obviously just a better fit for that role, so they decided to go with Katt Williams instead. And I think Ricky Smiley has also come out and said something about this on his radio show as well. But all those things could be true. I think right now what we're seeing right now is that we're getting one side of the story while we got the other side of the story. I believe it was a year or so ago, or a little bit over a year ago. So because Ricky Smiley was also on the Club Shay Shay podcast.
Kill me now.
But essentially, both of those things could be true. Ricky Smiley could have thought that he was going to be auditioning for a certain role, and he auditioned for that role, and they could have just went with a different person because that person was better fit for that role. That happens all the time. I'm pretty sure it's not something uncommon in Hollywood. Now, I'm not a Hollywood person. I've never been in Hollywood, so obviously I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that's a common thing. If you find somebody else who's better for a role, you're probably going to cast them in that role and switch it with somebody else's. It's not that big a deal.
None of them set the record straight.
That's what you were supposed to ask him when he told you those lies that no one's ever heard. Right, but he's telling you something no one's ever heard of. Nobody has ever heard, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon was in a movie, and somebody said, y'all should switch roles. This is a business.
But that's the thing, Kat. Normally when people will give you information, I'm thinking I'm hearing it for the first time, and they're giving information no one else knows or has ever heard. So I'm taking them at face value.
These are this is like Steve Harvey telling people he used to be homeless. That's my story. That's not his story. Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless. When Mark Curry was touring with him 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week. They just tell the stories. Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her. Then you went and married somebody else that think like a man. What are you talking about? They think they can rewrite history. Guy Torrey did a beautiful special about the Comedy Store and Fat Tuesday, where he said that Steve and Cedric and Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish came through there and made... All lies. Steve and Cedric never performed at the Comedy Store at all. Tiffany was only seen at the Laugh Factory. In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to L.A. and in his first year in L.A. he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person.
This man wanted all of the smoke, yo. I need to hear some of the rebuttals from some of these guys that he's calling out. Yo, y'all cannot be silent. I'm sorry. This is way too big, and it's getting way too big for y'all to be silent. If y'all are silent to this, it will mean that everything he's saying here is true, which I think some of it is, because a lot of y'all are trying to take the high road like Kevin Hart is kind of doing. I don't know. Listen, he said in this, these guys are not funny in real life or something like that. Bro, he's not wrong in some of this. I've seen some of Kevin Hart's stand-ups. I'm sorry that I'm not even trying to be a hater right now. They are not funny. I'm sorry, they're just not funny. I've never even seen Steve Harvey's stand-up. I've never seen any of the other guys' stand-ups because I don't consider them to be funny people. I just may be a little bit younger, so I don't know when they were at the top of their game in terms of comedy-wise and doing stand-up or whatever, but I've never thought Steve Harvey was funny. I've never thought Cedric the Entertainer was funny. I've never thought any of that. I've never even seen Ricky Smiley try to do a stand-up, so I'm not even going to comment on that too much. But if you guys do not respond to what he's saying here, yo, this is gonna look really, really bad. I cannot stress this enough. It's gonna look really, really bad. And Shannon Sharpe himself has kind of come out after this podcast aired, and he said there's a lot of people that are upset about it. But it's like, yo, how can you be upset at a dude coming onto a podcast and telling the truth and telling his truth or whatever when you guys aren't necessarily rebutting it? He's calling you a liar. Come through with your receipts and show us exactly what it is. If you can't, we're gonna assume he's being honest.
What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words. He just did his documentary with Chris Rock where he shows you that his whole upbringing in comedy was on the East Coast.
Yeah, it was.
So how simultaneously was he here in Los Angeles doing the same thing?
I mean, I don't know how big the internet was back then when he was really, really coming up, but it's not entirely outside the realm of possibility for Kevin Hart to have gone from the East Coast to the West Coast and still been successful. So I don't necessarily know if I agree on that specific point with that specific person, but it's not, depending on where the internet was and where social media was at that time. I don't know exactly what time he's talking about, but depending on where it was at that time, it's not entirely outside the realm of comprehension for us to think that Kevin Hart essentially came to Hollywood and hit big very, very early on. But you never know. If Kevin Hart doesn't come out and defend himself, we don't know what to go with.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies, but Jussie Smollett gonna keep lying until you say we don't believe you. Like, it's important in the checks and balances of the universe that liars not get to make complete narratives for themselves.
Are you not afraid about being blackballed again? These are some power people.
What do you mean again? These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. That's why, you know what the number one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen.
Yo, that is powerful. Yo, this man came on this podcast and he was ready. Yo, I cannot, yo. He's not lying, yo. A lot of us normal, regular people don't understand sometimes that for these guys that we all think are really, really famous and really, really honorable people, all of that is just could be, I'm not saying it is, but all of that could be a play. All of that could just be them outwardly facing the public and portraying something. It's like acting. It's really, really easy to do. I cannot stress this enough. We don't know any of these people. We don't know exactly how they got there. We don't know what kinds of conversations are happening behind closed doors. We don't know any of this. For us to just outwardly believe these people had a rise to fame that was completely earned, which I'm not saying it either was or wasn't. All I'm saying is,
yeah, it's very possible.
It's not outside the realm of comprehension for someone like Katt Williams to be telling the truth in this scenario, because a lot of people do cut corners. Think about the amount of people in the world right now that you know that are just normal people who will cut corners to get by in any way, shape, or form in any field that they're trying to accomplish stuff in. It's a real thing. And to think that our celebrities are above that would be naive and stupid on our part.
They all do the same job. Why do you think Gary Owen can't cross over and he already white and been in comedy for 25 years? If what I say ain't the case. It's a cabal. It's a consortium. They rock with who they rock with and they don't with who they don't. But I'm not scared of being the competition any more than you were when you lined up across from a superior team. Yeah, on paper, they're a better team.
Right.
They have all the assets and resources and we don't. But let us get on the line, boy, and see if that factors in. I guarantee you it won't.
Wow.
Because Shannon Sharpe got to be a different person than that other person.
You could tell Shannon Shannon is so shocked by everything he's hearing right now. Like, listen, I would be shocked too if I was interviewing a person like Katt Williams and he was going this crazy on a podcast. Yo, this shit is so wild.
Absolutely.
And he always was. That doesn't change when I change teams. That remains the same. That's how a legacy is built.
So
all of these shortcut takers, they canceled me for talking about Harvey Weinstein before the thing came out, but he offered to suck my penis in front of all my people at my agency.
Oh my God. And that brings me to another point. I think it was Abba and Preach that mentioned stuff like something like this in their video and their breakdown of this. But it's like all of the people that are coming out with this backlash against Katt Williams and Shannon Sharp right now after this podcast release, is like all of you were talking crazy about them now, but were also simultaneously the same people who, when Harvey Weinstein was doing the things that he was doing in Hollywood for so long, y'all sat by quietly and said and did fucking nothing.
You didn't do shit.
You knew it was happening and you didn't do a goddamn thing. Right now, I think Diddy might be going through some legal battle, or he might have just put some legal battle behind him or whatever. But y'all sit by, if some of this stuff is true, which it seems like it is true, because you don't settle a case or anything like that if you're completely innocent in it. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to hear none of that. Oh, he just wanted to put it behind him. No, you don't settle a case about something that you're completely innocent on. No one is trying to part ways with tens of millions of dollars. I'm not trying to hear none of that. But you guys are simultaneously sitting by watching someone like Diddy. If the stuff that's out there is true, you're sitting back and watching this shit happen. And you've said nothing, but you're saying something now, which kind of leads me toward believing every single thing that Katt Williams is saying right now.
What am I supposed to do? He did all of that. I'm thinking I'm the only black person on the script. I get there, it's 3 other black guys on there. Woo. Huh.
So you wonder what they did to get there.
I told him no. What y'all do?
Oh, there was some penises sucked, my man.
And this is why when I walk in a room, heads go down. Behind my back, I'm nothing. I'm just a regular old comedian that's bitter and jealous. But in my face, no. The king has walked in and they have to respect it, only because I've not taken the shortcuts. I've not been funded. They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about. They tell you that themselves. I can't do that because Steve told you that he stopped doing stand-up because he had 7 TV shows. The only problem is when he stopped stand-up, he didn't have those 7 TV shows. He stopped stand-up because he got in a comedy battle called the Championship of Stand-Up Comedy with one Katt Williams in Detroit in front of 10,000 people and lost because Katt Williams said he was actually bald and that was a wig. And I went in, and that's why he couldn't do stand-up anymore.
Steve, you gotta come out and say something, buddy. We gotta hear from you, man. You can't just be quiet. I'm sorry, you can't be quiet when he going in on you like this.
I'm coming to tell you another story where he got so big, and it was Bernie and them's fault because they wanted to be movie stars. What? You called Ocean 11 to get that nigga's part. What do you mean you didn't want to be a movie star? So on the behalf of Bernie, I would have to say what I have to say.
Have you ever been on tour with any of these guys?
Every guy I mentioned to you is not funny out there in real life. So no. Faison's never done his own tour in 30 years. Steve Harvey don't do stand-up no more. Cedric doesn't write. I'm sorry, he doesn't write. Ricky Smiley has been playing the same old black woman forever. Like, you can't get a young fan base with that. Like, you gotta be doing karaoke around the country to make that work.
Right.
And he is. But I'm a stand-up comedian. This is my 19th 100-city tour. I'm not gonna have a conversation with these lazy bums that'll take a shortcut at any point. Yes, it's easier for you to juice than to get in the gym, but you don't get to bring that body in here talking crazy.
Talk about how good you look.
What?
Yo, Katt Williams is not lying right now. This man is not playing no games. And he said, and I would be careful letting people know, well, I guess he has to sell tickets anyway, but listen, when you're announcing that you're going on a 100-city tour, and if these people are as bad as you say they are,
And watch my back.
you better be careful, man. I'm sorry, like, you better be really, really careful. Your security better be really, really tight. You better be investigating all of the venues you're going to before you arrive there, just to make sure no mishaps or strange things happen. Listen, you never know what's been going on. Listen, I cannot stress this enough, my guy. You never know what these people could do to you, where they could get you, where they could find you. But he's essentially said so many things in this little short clip that I'm just like, I'm in shock and awe rewatching some of this stuff, because it's just like some of the people that some of the people that I look up to, not like as like comedians or anything like that, because I don't necessarily think they're funny, but I do look up to them for like being successful and all that. I have to kind of reevaluate that now, because how did you get there exactly? Did you steal jokes like he's saying that you stole jokes? Because Abba and Preach have a video where they legitimately put up the original content and the original joke that Katt Williams made, and then the side-by-side stolen joke that Cedric the Entertainer made. Listen, they stole some jokes. That's all I can say about it. They stole some jokes. And for people who think that like joke stealing and comedy and all that is like not a big deal because it's just a joke or whatever, it's like, no.
Think about it like this.
If you're a comedian, for someone to steal your joke is essentially them stealing your livelihood. And like any other form of like artistic expression, let's call it like music or something, like you wouldn't think it's okay for an artist to steal another artist's song. Like that's a no-no. Like, so for people to think that it's not a big deal because of the field that it's in, that's not true. Comedy this is people's livelihoods. You cannot just take somebody's joke like that.
No, there's too many comics out there that are putting their life on the line to tell these jokes, man.
Okay. Let's get to your upbringing. We're going to circle back and we'll get...
I want to protect him real quick, because you had said for the Kings of Comedy, it was in 2018, 2019.
All right, I don't think the rest of this clip is going to do much. I'm going to go to the second one really quick so we could kind of react to that a little bit too.
Financed your first stand-up. You had it cost you $22,000. You had 25 to your name.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to do that? You believe that much in Katt?
I believe that much in business. In business, the goal is for you to become independent and be the boss, take the responsibility, and also get the profit.
Okay.
This man is throwing out gems. That is a fact for anybody who is trying to start a business, anybody who's tried to start a business in the past. That is legitimately the goal. Any person who is capitalistic understands everything you say. Bro, Katt Williams went so crazy. I didn't think Katt Williams was such an intellectual person until I saw this podcast. I'm not even going to front it. I thought he was
a drug addict.
I believe some of the stuff that they said about him. I saw like a clip from Kevin Hart not too long ago talking about Katt Williams was on drugs and everything. So this was a really, really good podcast for me to kind of just see exactly who Katt Williams kind of is. And obviously, like, I don't know him personally or anything like that, and he could be lying, but I don't think he's lying the way he's talking right now. Though, and he's so strong and in his convictions right now that I don't think he's lying. I don't see a lot of people coming out and disputing what he's saying. So I think he's being 100% genuine when he says all of these things that he's saying.
That's all. How can I be looking for you to put me on if I wouldn't? And if I can't show you what you missed out on, why would you believe me? Now, the fact that I was able to do it 12 times, that's the real thing. The part that I'm able to do it all across the country. The fact that every time I do a tour or a special, you think, well, that's sponsored by somebody. Somebody did a good job. No, just the guy they're kicking around, just the one that might mentally not be all there. He's the one picking the outfits, writing this guy's material, booking the shows, making sure he gets there. He's the one hiring the other comedians. But hey, I knew that that's the end goal. So if that's the end goal and I'm there when I start, why would I deviate from that?
Right.
And something he just brought up there that I want to touch on really quick before I continue the video is that some of the stuff that he's saying in terms of how they kind of maligned his name and paraded him through the media and said he's like a crackhead or something. Some of the same shit that Dave Chappelle has said in the past too, with exactly what he was going through at the time when he turned down his, I think it was the $50 million contract to continue his Chappelle show because they wanted to change his show up and they wanted to either put him in a dress or something like that, and they wanted to change some of his content, and he was just like, no, it's the exact same shit. It's like they called him a crackhead, and because they had so much control over the media and independent media spaces weren't necessarily prolific in the mainstream or whatever like that, they got away with it and they could control the narrative in that way. Nowadays, with the emergence of like YouTube and stuff like that and independent content creators like myself, but independent content creators can essentially do what well, we can essentially kind of talk a little bit more about stuff like this, and they don't have as much control over the media and as much control over public perception as they once did when the mainstream media essentially was the only media outlets in the world.
Remember, my goal was to get this far in Hollywood and still have a virgin asshole.
Yo, this man is dropping nukes.
And I never had sucked a penis. That was my only goal. I didn't want to get with a white woman because I was scared she might have me running down the street like Jonathan Majors.
There you go. See, come on, cat.
Not because I didn't like white women. I think white women are as great as any other women. But I'm not gonna act like I'm not scared of them. I have a reason to be scared. You could be Kang the Conqueror, and they could take your rabbit ass down in 2 weekends. And that's the truth of the matter. So I stayed away from that. And remember, I told you the drug story from when I'm in the park.
Yeah.
So these are just the things. I had all of those when I came in. I already was ready for that. That's what they don't like.
Listen, Hollywood, y'all gotta start coming out with some content to refute some of this if he's lying, yo. If he's not lying and these things actually go on in Hollywood, which we've heard a lot of rumors in the past about these things actually happening, yo, this is bad. And it got me kind of thinking when he said some of this, is like, there's been this push recently, and I think a lot of people have been talking about this as well in all of our media and all of our movies, to kind of get all of this LGBTQ stuff plus A, B, C, D, all of that. There's been this push to get all of that into media, even to the chagrin of most of the public and most of the consumer base, because a lot of us don't want to see any of this shit. But if the execs and the people in power in Hollywood are essentially these people who kind of do stuff like this, it kind of puts credence into the idea that this is like not even like a business for y'all. These aren't business decisions that you guys are making. It's just you guys are trying to insert your ideologies and your personal preferences into movies and content that you're creating, and the public is not trying to see it.
So knock it off.
We don't want it. We never have. We never will. If you want to create that stuff for a specific audience, that's fine. Stop inserting it into our mainstream movies. We don't care. We think it's nasty. If you want to do it in your private life, no problem. You got the right to do that. It's you're an adult. If you're an adult, listen, some of the other stuff, I'm not even going to bring up Jeffrey Epstein in this or whatever, but some of that other stuff is whatever. But as long as you're an adult and you're interacting with consenting adults, that's fine. But again, Harvey Weinstein was a person that you guys allowed to kind of, wield power in Hollywood, and he was doing some really wild shit with that power, and you did nothing. Okay?
I did not know. You're telling me and showing me a side of the business that I didn't know. That you guys are, the competition, the competitiveness.
That's all business.
That is all business, but I have a hard time believing that Shannon Sharp didn't know the dark side of some of this stuff. Come on, you're a grown man, and you've been in show business now, I think, for the better part of like a decade. So some of this stuff has been happening behind closed doors. If you say you didn't know, I'll look at you a little bit funny. I mean, you could be being honest, and okay, I guess I'm gonna believe you, because if this is the first time you're hearing it and you're saying this is the first time you're hearing stuff about it, all right. But you knew some shit was happening behind closed doors, that even if you didn't want to believe it or anything like that, you knew it was happening, bro. Come on.
I don't care if they're selling Coke. You wouldn't believe the things that Coca-Cola says about Pepsi. You wouldn't believe the water conversations between Dasani and Liquid Death. Like in all business, in all sport, competition is a driving force.
That is a fucking fact. This man is dropping gems. Any endeavor, any industry that you are starting, it is competition that predicates it. Okay, you cannot go into anything, which is what pisses me off when people think that they're about to get handouts in any industries. No, there are people who are scratching and clawing through every single industry to get to where you want to get to. If you think someone is just going to lay down and allow you to get it, you are living in delusion. Okay? You got to work to get what you earn in this world, and that's that.
And I don't require anybody to be better. Who am I? I just require if you're a loser and you've taken shortcuts at every chance and you've made sure that you didn't put anybody on that really had a work ethic and was a God-fearing person and you helped it. If that was never you, then don't act like that's you. Don't get out here now that you don't do stand-up and start acting like, oh, you not sure why you don't do stand-up no more. I heard you got run off. You better be careful. The nigga that run you off gonna show up and he gonna tell everybody. Man, what you gonna be able to say? Nothing.
This man is coming for Steve Harvey's head, yo. Oh my goodness. And another thing that I saw when this was happening was there's some people who have this like belief in like the idea that you never want to like bring down a fellow black person or, you know, make us look bad to them. If y'all don't get the fuck out of here with that, listen, if anyone is doing dirty in any industry, I don't care what color or ethnicity they are, they need to be exposed, okay? They will get exposed in all of these platforms. Everybody can get it. This whole identity thing that people are so like loyal to, you better get the fuck out of here with all of that, man, for real.
Why you think I speak with such clarity? I'm actually involved in each one of these stories I told you about. Right. Right.
The one comedian that we've been sitting here doing this interview that you hold in very high regard is Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle walked away from 50 million. You said it was more. Tell the story.
That's right.
I will let you tell it.
No, you're
No,
the best.
I want you to tell it.
You really are the best. You proving it here today. As much as I'm proving it, you proving it.
He ain't lying, man. Shannon been doing this thing, man. I listen, I don't like the Club Shay Shay name. Get something a little smoother that sounds less suspect. You're too swole to be talking about Club Shay Shay. I'm sorry, but he's been going nuts, bro. And listen, I want to hear this Dave Chappelle thing because I don't even remember like watching this, but let's get into it.
You proving it. Yeah, that wasn't the thing. It wasn't, people say that. He lost $50 million. No, that's not even close to what happened to this dude. And until you understand what happened to the dude, you don't understand what happened. Like, no, not they offered him $50 million and he turned it down. Who gonna turn down $50 million? Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right.
Yo, Katt Williams is great, yo. But another thing that he mentioned about the Dave, listen, y'all know how I feel about Dave Chappelle on this pod, man. Y'all know exactly how I feel. I'm not gonna belabor it too much, but Dave Chappelle is the GOAT. Okay, anybody who tells you Dave Chappelle is not that dude is a hater, and you need to get away from him.
Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did.
Listen, that line right there, listen, this is probably the worst time for this to come out about people like Diddy, bro. You need to come out with a response to this. I cannot stress this enough. To all you people who think you're just gonna let this blow, you are not. This is only getting bigger and it's only getting worse. Listen, in 4 days, okay, this 3-hour-long podcast has over 30 million views, okay? It's only picking up steam, guys. You cannot ride this one out. There's no way, shape, or form that you're about to survive this if you sit by quietly and just let this happen.
I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely.
Can I need to know? You here, get your number.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Come on.
Because early on you was accusing me of being...
Katt.
All right, this is going a little bit into the other video that I already showed you guys, but I want to end this video by saying this, guys. This was a blessing at the beginning of 2024, man. Listen, if 2024 is going to be anything like we just saw in this podcast, yo, I am here for it, man. I lastly want to say this. Skip Bayless is probably really, really, really mad somewhere right now that Shannon Sharpe is getting some of the notoriety that he's getting right now, and rightfully so, man. Shannon Sharpe has been doing his thing, and Skip is going to fucking regret letting him walk. And also, Katt, listen, I'm going to say this again. The thing you just did was honorable and everything, but you just announced also that you're going on a 100-city tour. My guy, your security better be tight. You need to watch exactly what you're putting in your body wherever you go in these cities. This shit is not a game. Like, you just brought up Diddy. And listen, I know this is purely speculation, and people have been speculating about this for decades at this point. But I think he had something to do with that Biggie shit, man. I'm not going to lie to you. And obviously, I wasn't old enough to understand. But listen, when you look at a situation, you always have to look at something like that in terms of who benefited the most from the outcome that eventually happened. And that's probably the person who did it. Now, I'm not saying for sure that I'm corroborating this story or that I've done any research on it or anything, but listen, man, it's really, really hard for me to believe that this man had zero to do with that. I'm going to end this off by saying this. Katt Williams, Shannon Sharp, thank you guys for starting 2024 off right, man.
If you liked what you heard today, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you didn't like what you heard, thanks for watching the whole video. Consider leaving a comment in the comment section and telling me exactly what you disagreed with. Either way, thanks for joining me on this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.